Shiv Khera. This evening is a celebration of ideas, perspectives, and the power of words to inspire change. Let's make it an unforgettable one. To officially kick things off, I would like to invite the Managing Director of Bloomsbury India, Mr. Rajiv Berry, to deliver the publisher's address.
Well, I'm so delighted, especially because at the release function of Mr. Khera's new book. I've known Mr. Khera for around 30 years. Published his first book, You Can Win, when I was in Macmillan. That book, I'm sure everyone is absolutely aware. It's been an absolute blockbuster. I don't think there is any India origin motivation related self-help book which has lasted so long and is still a bestseller. So I would like to thank Mr. Khera for being with us, with your very close association with me. Thank you for your trust and your faith. I would like to welcome the Honorable Minister of External Affairs, Shri Jaishankar. We are all aware how busy he is. He's just come from the US. That he's taken out time to be with us is a very, very special gesture. Sir, thank you very much for being with us. And of course, welcome everyone. The new book. I was involved with Mr. Khera in certain parts of the title, and I think it's going to be a path-breaking book. The reason being, the harmful effects of stress, I think I don't need to talk about. Everyone knows. We have the medical community talking about it so often. They're talking about it actually leading to some very critical illnesses even, things like heart attacks, cancers, etc., etc. Also the mental health issues. But then in our very, very, everyone's got their objectives, everyone's got their daily lives where one doesn't even realize that stress is there. And sometimes one downplays it because one says that it's a part of life. Why should we kind of talk so much about it? But I think Mr. Khera's book will show what it can cause, why is it there, what we can do about it. So actually, if you look at, there are a lot of books on stress management, but Mr. Khera's book is the first one, which not just, it's a 360-degree holistic view. It just doesn't talk about certain measures that you can take, but actually looks at a very fundamental thing, which is, how can you change yourself to be able to handle stress? So essentially, it's a change mechanism that you need to bring in you in various ways so that you don't let external factors affect you as they are affecting you now, and it gets into your DNA to be able to handle stress on a day-to-day basis. So that's how it works. And of course, no one can beat Mr. Khera in the way to write. The book is so simple, to the point. It's no long jargons or long paragraphs. It's short chapters, beautiful punchlines, actually easy to read, to retain, and to practice. So great. I just hope you'll enjoy the book as much as we have enjoyed in publishing it. And now, well, I suppose there could have been no one better than Shri Jaishankar to release this book. Because among us all here, could anyone be facing more stressful situations than he does? So, I mean, he faces situations which have such a significant impact on a country, such a global impact. And as you would have seen, have you seen him always calm, always cool, always logical, always measured? So let's learn a lot from him how to handle stress. So thank you very much, sir, for being with us today. So I am really looking forward to this evening. I'm sure it's going to be very stimulating, very engrossing, and thank you for being with us. Thank you.
And to add to what Mr. Berry just said, today is the launch date of the book, and I have an exciting news. The book is already #1 under stress management category on Amazon. Now it's my privilege to introduce our esteemed chief guest, the Honorable External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar. Dr. S. Jaishankar is India's External Affairs Minister since May 30th, 2019. He is a member of the Upper House, Rajya Sabha of India's Parliament from the state of Gujarat. He was Foreign Secretary from 2015 to 2018, Ambassador to United States from 2013 to 2015, China from 2009 to 2013, and Czech Republic from 2000 to 2004. He was High Commissioner to Singapore from 2007 to 2009. He has also served in other diplomatic assignments in embassies in Moscow, Colombo, Budapest, and Tokyo, as well in the Ministry of External Affairs and the President's Secretariat. He was also President Global Corporate Affairs at Tata Sons Private Limited from May 2018. Dr. S. Jaishankar is a graduate of St. Stephen's College at the University of Delhi. He has a master's in political science and an MPhil and PhD in international relations from Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi. May I please request Dr. S. Jaishankar to join us on the stage. I would also request Mr. Shiv Khera to join Dr. Jaishankar on the stage. Welcome, sir. And now it is time to hear from the man himself, Mr. Shiv Khera. We all know him from his previous works, including the iconic You Can Win, which has inspired millions. And while Mr. Khera needs no introduction, we have put together a short video introducing Mr. Khera. Let's watch it together. Can we please have the video?
Mr. Shiv Khera is the founder of Qualified Learning Systems Incorporated, USA, an author, educator, and a business consultant. He's a much sought-after speaker. He inspires and informs people, helping them to realize their true potential. He has taken his dynamic personal messages to opposite sides of the globe, from the US to Singapore. His 40 years of understanding and experience has helped people on the path of personal growth and fulfillment. He has been recognized by the Round Table Foundation, honored by Lions International and Rotary International. Mr. Shiv Khera's client list includes, among others, Lufthansa, DHL, Nestle, Philips, Gillette, Hewlett-Packard, Jaguar, IBM, Ericsson, Mercedes, Johnson & Johnson, HSBC, and many more. He has appeared on numerous radio and television shows. Mr. Shiv Khera is an international best-selling author with over 13 million copies of books sold, including You Can Win in 21 languages. His other books are on their way to creating new records. Tens of thousands have benefited from his dynamic workshops in 17 countries, and millions have heard him as a keynote speaker. His trademark is, winners don't do different things, they do things differently.
Can we please have a louder round of applause for both our guests? May I now request Dr. S. Jaishankar to deliver the keynote address.
Good evening and namaskar to all of you. Let me, first of all, begin by congratulating Shiv Khera ji on his new book. He is, of course, a veteran author, but I think the excitement of bringing out a new book is always unique. I am very confident. To me, it's no surprise that even before it officially gets released, it's already up there in the charts. I have one rule, which is never talk about a book you haven't read. So I think somewhere it should be added to his rules as well. So I had the pleasure of actually reading the book on my flight back from Washington. And I totally agree with Mr. Rajiv Berry. It's a very easy read. It's very quintessentially Shiv Khera. You know, you get the ideas, impacts you, you remember the key points. And most important, you absorb the messages of the book. Now, before I share my own thoughts, let me start with a mild note of difference. The book, as you know, is called Live While You Are Alive. And it begins by saying, we only live once. I actually prefer the Ian Fleming version, which is we live twice. You only live twice. And you only live twice, if you all remember the song, once for yourself and once for your dreams. So what I want to say up front is that living for your dreams, that is really for all of us, you know. There is no human being who does not have an aspiration. And anybody with an aspiration, for them, self-improvement and self-help are the natural drivers of how to get more out of life and how to do better in life. And that, in many ways, is actually what this book is about, though it focuses on the stress aspect, and I'm delighted to be taken as a guinea pig of the stress management business. Now, my second point, of course, is that life is unpredictable to a considerable degree. That is where much of the stress comes from. But again, one of the messages in the book is that if you develop the confidence, it can be navigated, it can be managed. And the most important is that we all must try our best. That, you know, there's no guarantee that we will be successful in everything we do, but there could be a guarantee if you motivate yourself that you will do your best. And then beyond that, you know, it is in the hands of higher forces. Now, to do that, to do your best, you know, you have to take the risks. You have, as Mr. Khera says, you have to be at peace with yourself. You have to accept that mistakes will happen. But the key is not to fear the mistakes, but to recover from the mistakes, to rectify the mistakes. And, you know, prepare your best, but be ready for surprises. I mean, that, in a sense, is what is the life outlook, which I could, you know, sort of, I would say this was the nichord of the book. And I think that life outlook really for all of us in whatever we do, personally, professionally, organizationally, it is attitude which helps us develop the professional and life skills that we need. I would also add to that, you know, no one is perfect. You know, most of us, you know, it's natural when you go out, you know, somebody reads your CV, people normally talk about your success, or even you talk about your own success. You always tell people what you did. It'd be very interesting if we paused for a moment and thought about where we did not do well. as I tell people, especially young people, I like to remember the exams I did not pass. And there are some I did. Most people obviously understand I passed the UPSC. Yeah. But I can tell you, I sat for the IIT entrance exam and I didn't pass. And in fact, I had I must share with you, a very interesting experience recently. I was at an event where someone went to the great trouble of getting my school report. They actually got my school report, got a copy of it, had a nice, presentable version of it. And they were under the mistaken impression that it would be a good report. So here I am, and they introduce me, and they say, we have your school report. And then they flip page 1. And, it wasn't that great. They saved me the embarrassment. So they read the final teacher's remarks saying the boy has great potential if he works a little bit harder. I mean, that's what the teachers say when you don't do that well. So I remember that, and I remind, everybody around me saying, look, all of us somewhere, I'm sure there were some people who were so talented very early on that anything they did, anything they touched turned out to be wonderful. But I think for the vast majority of us, there were some things which worked, some things which didn't. There were days you did well, there were days you didn't. There were some things you passed, there were some which you didn't. And I think that's important to remember in life, because that is very much, I think, part of that attitude towards life, that sense that, you should not be down, you should not feel sort of bad at any setback, and you should be optimistic about the continuous self-improvement which all of us practice and certainly aspire to. Now, as an external affairs minister, and as you can see, an extreme case of stress, there were some takeaways I had. I read the book, I absorbed the book, and I asked myself, okay, so what is it in my own sphere, in my own domain, I experienced? And try to put it down in a Shiv Khera-esque way to communicate to people. And for me, when I look at my own particular responsibility now, but even earlier as a diplomat, I have, over a period of time, tried to aspire to the 3 C's of success. One, of course, is contact. The more people you know, the greater your reach. The second C is chemistry, which is that if you get along with people, they are more likely to do things for you than if you don't. And the third is credibility, that if you are known to be good on your word, when you say things, when you make promises, when you tell people what can be done or what cannot be done, people take you seriously. A lot of people would do things, they would do things first if you know them. 2, they will certainly do things if they like you, therefore the chemistry. But most of all, they are likely to respond to you if they believe you are straight, you are upfront, what you say is what you get. I think that is a very, very crucial attribute, certainly in the world of diplomacy. My second takeaway, and there were elements of it in the book, I would call it today, because we are in the era of art of the deal, I would call it the art of parachuting, which is you drop into a place and get to know as quickly as you can what it is all about. And that's what most, certainly in diplomacy, in the foreign service, as a foreign minister, that's what a lot of us do. You have, a little time to get your bearings, understand where you have landed. Try to learn what everybody around you is about. And you can say, in a way, it's a kind of Atmanirbharta, that you are carrying all those skills which you get by reading Shiv Khera, and then you drop down in a place and you apply those skills as quickly as you can. The third is crucial, central to this, which is stress. And in fact, he says, whatever you do, avoid chronic stress. Now, avoiding chronic stress and being a minister don't go together. So that's the reality of the situation. So what do you do? And that's what we were talking as we walked into this building. And I said, look, my most honest answer is you normalize the abnormal. You build your life around it. You de-stress it by making it, in a way, your part of your life. So if your phone rings at 2 o'clock, you answer it and go back to sleep, and get up at 6 or 7 and try to remember and hope what you said was right. So how do, you actually, because there are people, there are situations, sometimes there are professions, sometimes it's your mindset, you take on responsibility. There are people who take the weight of an organization or the responsibilities of a family or a larger grouping on themselves. So they take stress away from others onto themselves. And such people do carry chronic stress with them. So you carry chronic stress really by, in a way, building your life around it. I wouldn't recommend it to other people if you don't have to do it. But that's a way to do it. And of course, a lot of the other points which Shiv Khera ji makes about being optimistic, about staying the course, about developing the fortitude for tough times. I think these are really very important attributes. But for me, the 6 crucial takeaways from this book, which I certainly have sought to build into my lifestyle. One is that you plan for the unplanned. 2, you invest in relationships. 3, and this is not just a political statement, it is also a political statement, but it is also a personal statement, no appeasement. 4, equally important, I think in politics also, no toxicity. 5, respect time. And 6, most important, get a good night's sleep. So these are 6 straight chapters out of your book, which I think are really very sensible advice offered to people who may be very stressed or may not be stressed. You won't be stressed certainly if you follow all these things. Now, let me conclude with a few words about my own experience, 41 years in diplomacy as a professional, 6 years now running as a minister. So what has been the MAS experience which I have seen in terms of stress management? Okay. And I'd like to share some recent experiences. One, I would say, and I'm looking at some very distinguished people in front of me, the discipline of duty. When you believe something is your duty and you are trained to do that, and there is a discipline which comes out of it, you are not stressed because 1, you believe you should be doing it, or 2, you are habituated, you are trained to do it. So when I think of the power of this habit, of this discipline, my most, I would say, insightful, perceptive experience in all these years that I'm talking about was actually the period of the COVID. It was the period of the COVID because most people started work from home. in the Ministry of External Affairs, because we were trying to get back Indians from all over the world and deal with them, we actually moved from a morning to evening routine, from that into a 3-shift routine, which was actually more people came to work every day. So it was, for us, instead of work from home, it was go home occasionally. But we dealt with the COVID by actually moving to a 3-shift ministries, having a 24-hour operational culture to, whether it was somebody who was stuck, whether it was an oxygen shipment that was needed, whether it was a ventilator requirement somewhere else. But I saw at that time what discipline does, what a sense of duty does, that to ask people who are afraid, as all of us reasonably were, people were afraid to come out of their homes. You're asking them every day to come to office, to sit with a group of other people, to do this day after day, and they did it. The second was, I saw what motivation could do. When the COVID started, you all remember that initial, that first focus on Wuhan, the city in China. Now, we had young diplomats who actually volunteered to go into Wuhan to get people out. That is the power of motivation. That for them, they could have stayed away, they could have ducked. They knew somebody had to go in with a plane, and they were willing to do that. So what you can get people, if there is personal motivation, organizational motivation, if that is the culture, people will be willing to go the extra mile and more to get things done. The third lesson I saw was one of no risks, no rewards. Which, by the way, no risks means you have to take on some stress. And I've seen this on a kind of a transactional basis regularly, but there were some very difficult situations. When we did evacuations in Ukraine, or when we did one in Sudan, there were people working in the embassy, there were people working in the foreign ministry who took personal risks. Either they were there in that country. In the case of Sudan, for example, I had to literally shout at my ambassador to get him out, because he was unwilling to come out till everybody was out. And in the case of Ukraine, I had actually people volunteering to go to the most difficult spot, which was at that time the most chaotic place in the fighting, when they went there, actually the Ukrainians thought they were crazy, because everybody else was coming out of that zone of fighting, and these two gentlemen were going into the zone of fighting. So, but we could not have got the job done if we had not taken the risk. So, as I say, at the end of the day, no risk, no reward. Then, this point, being there at the right time. Today, recently we had a summit of Caribbean countries, Caribbean islands. Prime Minister had gone to Guyana. So all the Caribbean, I think 15 countries there. Every one of them began by thanking Prime Minister Modi for the vaccines. Not just because they got the vaccines, because that being there at the right time, that when the rest of the world, when there were countries next to them, there were big developed countries who had cornered 8 times the vaccine of their population. And next to them, or close by, were islands who needed 20,000 doses, 30,000 doses, and they didn't get them. So when you do something for somebody at the right time, it could be small, it could be big, but the timing is crucial. I mean, I've dealt with Sri Lanka for a very, very long time. I don't know if any of you in the last 2 years have had an opportunity to go there. The average Sri Lankan remembers this, that when their economy was falling off a cliff, we stepped up, most importantly at the right time. That our aid, which was huge, $4 billion plus, but more importantly, it came at the right time. Because the IMF was still negotiating, others were saying, okay, we will look at it. As you know, the fall of their economy was checked because we came in at the right time. Then I would say it's important to move with the times. You know, we see this every day in governance. This, for example, is an aspirational India. It's a more prosperous India. People want to travel more. When I joined the government, you know, getting a passport seemed like a privilege. Okay. In fact, in the colony I lived, most people said, okay, somebody has joined the foreign ministry, iska matlab hai ki hamara passport ka kaam ho jayega. This was the community value of this. But you can't do that anymore. You know, the average Indian is not willing to put up with stuff which they did 20 years ago, 30 years ago, even 10 years ago. So how do you move with the times? That too, I think, is important. And we have tried to do that, you know. I sometimes read about rankings. You know, there's a passport ranking. Now, most rankings, I mean, have a, it's like a, you know, setting hota hai. Huh? So it's fixed for some purpose, okay? So they will tell you things like, you know, we see how many countries you can go without a visa. That's one metric, okay? Now, obviously, you know, we are a large country, so a lot of other countries feel, okay, maybe these guys, it's better to have a visa system. But look at the kind of metrics which today are so important. Which other country rescues its people in places like Ukraine or Sudan or Israel or Afghanistan? Because in Ukraine, I can tell you, even the Western countries told their people, sorry guys, I mean, the war has started, now you're on your own, we told you to leave, and there's nothing we can do. So, today, you know, we have a system for anybody whose passport is lost, anybody who has a grievance, that the wages are not paid. Somebody unfortunately passes away abroad. You know, how many countries bring back the bodies of their nationals who pass away abroad? How many countries have homes for, you know, the people who go out to work professionally, whose remittances are so helpful for our economy? You know, we have today, we even support people in fighting court cases abroad if they don't have the means to do that. But this is today the expectation. You know, this is the aspirational India. People are going out into the global workplace, but they expect to be supported by the government and by the country. So it's important to move with times, that the need to adapt, the need to change, you know, I mean, life is less stressful, more efficient, if actually, as a governance outlook also, we accept, and that's really one of the big changes to my mind in the last 10 years, that the many things which would have been accepted before, today we need to make that effort and bring up the system to speed, because today that is the legitimate expectation of the average citizen. Two other takeaways I had. One, the importance of trust and teamwork. And to trust, to have a team, you must trust. And to trust, you must know the people. So anybody who heads an organization, if you do not know actually means personally know enough people, it's very difficult to build that culture of trust. in which case your team will always be suboptimal. So it's important to take interest in people. Sometimes, in this era, we need to say it, because often we look at the screen and we don't have enough human relationships. So I say this, that, era of technology, know your colleagues, know your employees, know your superiors, know everybody around you, take an interest in their lives. But this is actually a huge asset if you are heading an organization. And finally, of course, know what you don't know. Because all of us like to give gyan. I mean, it's part of talk about a book only if you read it. But know what you don't know, but equally important, know somebody who does. So go find somebody smarter than you, better informed than you. You cannot know everything, but if you know Mr. Shiv Khera, you got a great start in life. So thank you very much.
I'm honored. I'm so grateful to you, sir. I'm so grateful to you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful address and sharing your key takeaways from the book and illustrating them with your own real-life examples. Thank you so much. And we are really glad that you took out the time from your busy schedule to go through the book. It means a lot for us. Thank you, sir. May I now please welcome Mr. Khera to talk about his new book. Let's all hear from him. A huge round of applause for Mr. Khera, the man of the evening.
I'll talk from here. Yeah. My, what a act to follow. What a act to follow. Sir, first of all, I'm indeed grateful that you are here. With Republic Day, day after tomorrow, the number of dignitaries from all over the world who are right there, and the main person is missing. Can you imagine he's taken the time out? Sir, I'm so grateful to you, with all that many people. But I have to say that you've taken 7.5 minutes of my time too. So you need to give me that additional time right here. So I'll be grateful to you, sir. Folks, just on the lighter side, generally, people celebrate with cocktails, and then, especially the books, because books give knowledge and education, and when you have alcohol, you get high. So, and if you read, you get educated. Somebody said, if you drink and read, you'll be highly educated. So that's one side of the picture. But you did talk about a little bit relationship. A lady filed for a divorce after 30 years, and the judge said, 30 years later you woke up? What's the matter? Grounds are, he doesn't say anymore, I love you. So the judge asked the man, what's the matter? Why don't you say I love you anymore? So man replied, he said, look, when I got married, I told her I love you. And if I ever change my mind, I'll let you know. And I haven't changed my mind. So what's the big deal? Well, anyway, sir, grateful to you. And we were talking about who knows more how to handle stress. You literally remind me of James Bond. Why do I say that? Because you are permanently on the hot seat. Are you with me? You are permanently on the hot seat. And this James Bond always remains cool, not cold. I repeat, not cold, but cool. See, he's permanently on the hot seat. Hot seat, cool head. Hot seat, cool head. Hot seat, hot head, you're dead. Folks, one arm, America is pulling, the other arm, Russia is pulling, and China is pulling all his legs. But somehow he managed to maintain his cool. Folks, a lot to learn from you. A lot to learn from you. Indeed grateful to you, sir. You did talk about a few things in terms of connections and contacts. I address many business schools, different parts of the world. And today in business schools, in MBA schools, they're teaching. Join Chamber of Commerce's, join the Rotaries, join the Lions, build contacts, build contacts. And they teach them network, 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 network. And you ask them, what are you doing? I'm networking. Why are you networking? I'm building contact. Why are you building contact? Someday he could be useful. Someday he's a doctor, he's a lawyer, he's a cop, he's a politician, he's a mafia. Who knows, someday he could be useful. Build contacts. Folks, they do not teach them there is a world of a difference between building contacts versus building relationships. Are you with me? Folks, there is a huge, huge, huge difference, and I need to learn from Mr. Vivek Thankar. He's got friends going back 30, 40, 50 years. Amazing, and they are all there. Good time, bad time, they are there. He's there. See, there is so much to learn. This is what we are talking of, building relationships versus building contacts. You see, people who only build contacts that someday he could be useful, usefulness goes, friendship also goes. See, these are parasites. Parasites, selfish people, they're only takers in life. You can never, never work long-term with people who are only takers in life. Now, is this the reason why we form friendship, that someday you could be useful? That's absolutely rubbish. That is total selfishness. Folks, come back to, see, once I came in, we have an office in Singapore, I came from dinner, and a man met me in the lobby, and he asked me, Mr. Khera, you came from dinner? I said, yes, sir. You met some people this evening? I said, yes, sir. And then he said, I hope you met some people who could be useful to you. Now, I felt like giving a piece of my mind and something else. See, his objective of meeting people was usefulness. What he could extract out of them. Folks, not realizing that usefulness is a byproduct of relationship. Are you with me? Usefulness is a byproduct of relationship. And people who have strong relationships, there was a study done at Harvard University, which I have mentioned in my book. They live healthier life, longer life, happier life, because they are relationships. And people who don't have good relationships, they are emotionally bankrupt. And people who are emotionally bankrupt use the word trust. How can you trust them? How can you trust them? You see, people who are emotionally bankrupt, they're whimsical people, moody people. The same person is all sugar and honey to you today, and the same person ought to catch your throat tomorrow. There is imbalance. You can't trust people like that, can you? So eventually it comes down to emotional stability. And of course, folks, we talked about stress in my book. The reason why I put this book out at this time, in the last 2 decades, the depression rate and stress has gone up by 400%. And economic cost is in excess of $1 trillion per year, $1 trillion. And in the US, I have statistics there. I don't have the statistics in India, but in the US, it is costing in excess of $300 billion, and 1 million man days are lost per year. And 83% of people who go to work, they are talking of stress-related problems. And medical doctors I've talked to, and some of them are here, they say 60, 70, even 80% of the sicknesses are psychosomatic. Psycho means mind, somatic means, soma is the body. Sickness manifests in our body because of mind, which is basically nothing else but stress. And suicide rates, depression rates have gone up today drastically. So it is badly needed today. Needed yesterday too. But you see, because of that, relationships are breaking down like you would not even believe. Now, important thing is, I did some research which said about 200 years ago, most marriages in the Western world were love marriages. They were arranged marriages. They were not love marriages. That means the marriage came first and the love came after. Granted, they might have had problems, but by and large, they still lasted. And today in the Western world, pretty much most marriages, so-called love marriages, and they have 60, 70, 80, and some places even 90% divorce rate. That means love came first and the marriage came later. So they have devised a midway which is called, let us live together without making no commitment. Let us live together, and they live together, and you ask them the purpose behind this. What is the purpose behind this? We're checking compatibility. For 5 years, they keep checking compatibility every day. And then they get married, 2.5 hours later, they have a divorce. What did you check? Folks, have you ever seen a compatible couple in this world? Show me one. Look at your parents. Are they compatible? Folks, there is no and compatibility is not what keeps a relationship going. It is our ability to live with the incompatibilities in life that keeps a relationship going. You know something? Compatibility is a word which is invented by divorce attorneys. They have invented this word. Nobody else. Compatibility. Where compatibility? What compatibility are we talking about? So anyway, eventually it comes down to building relationships. Now, folks, in the interest of time, I know you have to leave. I just want to cover two important things. In fact, three, sir. Three. Okay, because you had six and I have only three. Okay. Folks, quickly, one major cause of stress today is there are people who are equating success with only money. Only money. Folks, major cause of stress. And there are people who keep looking at the kind of clothes you wear, kind of jewelry you have, the kind of car you drive, kind of home you live, because they judge your self-worth by your net worth. Are you with me? They judge your self-worth by your net worth. Not only do they judge your self-worth by your net worth, but they also judge their own self-worth by their own net worth. No wonder they keep making comparisons. How come they have this, I don't have it? How come they have this, I don't have it? How come they have this, I don't have it? And to make comparisons, again, because if I don't have this, I am inferior. That's why they put on a false mask. And people buy things today. They buy things they don't need with the money that they don't have to impress the people who don't mean anything in life anymore. And that is really what is going on today. Not realizing, as somebody said, cash is king. Cash is king. Money in the bank is more valuable than your designer clothes in your wallet, in your closet. Are you with me? Money in the bank is much more valuable than your designer clothes in your closet. People have to understand what reality is all about. And now that was one of the things. Now two more. One is to handle stress in life, in fact, problems in life, it all depends on our resources to handle them. Supposing you are taking a walk in the forest and a lion comes in front of you. Who has a problem? You have a problem. But supposing, miraculously, you have AK-47 in your hand. Now, who has a problem? Lion has a problem. So a lot depends on your own resources, how you handle it. So somebody said to handle problems in life, seek help. Don't fight your battles alone. I repeat, seek help. Do not fight your battles alone. There was a young boy who told his dad, he said, Dad, there's a rock in the ground there. I'm going to move it. I'm going there. So he went there, and he came back, and father asked, son, were you able to move the rock? He said, no, Dad, but I'm going to go back again. Next day again he went, and he came back, and Dad asked, son, were you able to move the rock? He said, no, Dad, but I'm going to go back again. See, Anup, here, third day, the father quietly went behind this kid, and he saw his son was pushing hard, and he was sweating all the way. And Dad quietly said, son, are you using all your strength? And the boy said, yeah, Dad, look at this. I'm using all my strength. And father said, son, you never asked me, am I not part of your strength? Are you with me? You never asked me, am I not part of your strength? Don't fight your battles alone. Stop fighting your battles alone. Yes, we all want to be independent and fight it, but keep in mind, use your strength. Family is your strength. Build your strength. This is what emotional equation is all about. And that we can handle stress. Keep in mind, stress is unavoidable. It is normal. It is natural. And by the way, stress cannot be delegated. Rajiv, I can't give you my stress. Nor can you. We have to handle our own stress by ourselves. It cannot be delegated. So there are some things we need to learn. And this is what we are talking of in this book. AK-47, that man could handle the tiger or the lion. This book is talking about tools, how to handle stress as we go along. And one more that I'd like to share on the last one. Personally, I met a gentleman, I think almost 45 years ago. His name was Dr. Robert Elliott. You might have heard the story in the last one. Robert Elliott, he was a cardiologist and a cardiologist of the cardiologists. He was teaching cardiology all over the world. And he was going from the limousine to the aircraft, to the limousine to the aircraft, to the limousine to the aircraft. And he was teaching cardiology. And this man was in mid-45, somewhere about 40 years. One day, in the morning, he arrived at a hospital. He was to address a few hundred medical doctors. But all of a sudden, he felt discomfort in his own chest. Being a cardiologist, right away, he recognized something was wrong. He went to the nurse's station and said, check me out. And they checked him out, and they found he was having a heart attack. Needless to say, he couldn't address. Immediately, he was taken to the ER and given treatment right there. After he recovered, he's written a book called It's All Small Stuff. You see, after he recovered, he wrote a book, Is It Worth Dying For? And the book ends with this. He said, the heart attack was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. The heart attack was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. He said, what that heart attack taught me is, till then, I was on the fast lane. I was practicing everything against what I was telling them. I was telling them to slow down, and I was on the fast lane. And he said, I had a lovely wife. Didn't spend time with her. I've got two lovely daughters. They were sleeping when I left home. They were sleeping when I came home. I never saw them grow up in my life. And besides, I never took time to smell the roses outside my window. He said, the heart attack was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. And he said, from there I learned two things. One, don't sweat the small stuff. I repeat, two lessons I learned. One, don't sweat the small stuff. And number two, it's all small stuff. It's all small stuff. But then I have closed my book by saying social responsibility and serving to humanity is not small stuff. We have to serve. It is our obligation. And I have concluded that book with that. And Rajiv, I want to thank you. Known you for so many years. And friend Dheeraj, Pankaj. And Pankaj is right here. He's attended my program. He's a student of mine. And Kiran, what an honor. And I don't know, Vaibhav, such a pleasure to have you. Dheeraj Gupta right here. I don't know, I mean, how many names I want to take, but I do want to invite my wife and my daughter to hand over to you a little hamper of my book. And of course, Smita, ma'am, I'm so honored that you are here. I'm grateful. And then we will have a little chat between you and me. And, but can I get the hamper, please? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Khera, for that powerful address and reminding us to take charge of our lives and writing this book, which will help us all do so.
Sorry.
Thank you again, Mr. Khera. Can we all please have a huge round of applause for Mr. Khera?
That's okay. Yes, ma'am. We'll unveil the book now?
And now let's take a look at how the book was made. It's a very short, quick video. Can we please play the video?
Just one.
Folks, take a break before you break down. Hello? Take a break before you break down.
Take a break before you break down.
And now it's time to officially unveil the book that is sure to change millions of lives. Live while you're alive. And to do that, I would like to invite our distinguished guest, Mrs. Shiv Khera.
That's my wife. It's let me go.
Mrs. Bhavna Vadera.
And she has edited the entire book.
Mr. Rajiv Berry.
Bhavna has come for the event. Come. No. Come.
Mr. Vivek Tankha. Sir, can we please have you on the stage?
Pankaj.
Dr. Mehta.
And Pankaj Singh. And
Mr. Pankaj Singh.
Dheeraj.
Dr. Kiran Bedi. Mr. Dheeraj Gupta. Mr. D.S. Mishra.
Vaibhav Denge. Vaibhav Denge.
Mr. Vaibhav Denge. Ms. Smrita Prakash. Do we have Mr. Kartikeya Sharma here?
No, he's not here.
No. Mr. Naresh Bansal?
He's not here.
Can we please have the book on stage now for unveiling? And can we have copies of the book presented to all our distinguished guests?
Yes, Vivek.
Dr. Jaishankar, please do the honors and unveil the book,
Thoda sir, up.
along with all our distinguished guests.
I think do that first and then we'll give you this.
No, come, right.
I request all our guests to please hold the book for a minute and so that we can take a nice, beautiful picture.
Should I, Rajiv, should I put this down? Because it's blocking everybody's here. It's good. Such a pleasure to have you do this. Thank you. Thank you, sir. After you are done with all this, next week's time I'll give you a call. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Jaishankar, for making this a truly
sir.
momentous launch.
Grateful.
May I now request Ms. Bhavna Vidara to present a
Bhavna,
token of
Bhavna, wait,
appreciation
wait,
to the Honorable External Affairs Minister.
So we have a hamper of all our books and everything. Yes. So cool. See, this is a hamper, sir, for you. ये गाड़ी में रखवा बेटा सर के लिए. Thank you, sir. You.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bhavna,
So thank you again.
thank you, sir, and we'll catch up again.
Thank you, Dr. Jaishankar.
Yes, I wanted you here. That was important.
I request everyone to please take their seats.
Come on,
It is now my pleasure to introduce Ms. Smita Prakash, Chief Editor and Deputy CEO of ANI. With an illustrious career spanning over 3 decades, Ms. Prakash has reported from across the globe, anchored programs on leading channels, and penned incisive columns. Her podcast, ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash, is one of the most engaging platforms for candid conversations with leaders and influencers. Smita, we are delighted to have you with us. And now I will hand it over to you for, I'm sure it's going to be an enriching conversation with you and Mr. Khera.
I've got that.
Even today, I mean, though my daughter is his age, but I still address him as sir, because I look at it as he is still a principal there. Grateful to you, sir. I'm honored that you are here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. Khera for giving me this opportunity and the publishers. Are you nervous?
Man, I'm scared.
Yeah. I love having that impact, even if it's not true. But yeah, are you anxious? Not scared.
Anxious, yes.
Okay, good one. So you talk about the book, but before that, I must, even though Dr. Jaishankar has left, some of the points that he brought in his introduction was so interesting when he talked about dealing with stress and anxiety and how he manages it. He's of course an amazing diplomat, amazing cabinet minister, but some of the things that he talked about, ladies and gentlemen, especially about vaccine Maitri, and during the period of COVID, when they brought back our people who were stranded outside the country. And then he also spoke about bringing back our students who were stuck during the Ukraine war. And on all these, I've been reporting that. And I saw for myself, when there were Indians who were stuck in all these places and they were told that, look, you'll be brought back to the country. There was a sense of trust and belief because the men and women in charge, people had that confidence. Something that we haven't seen for a long time. Even when those children who were stuck in Ukraine, when they were being rescued, there were some very anxious moments, Mr. Khera, and we were reporting that as journalists. And there was this understanding. I spoke to my reporter spoke to some of the parents of those students who were stuck there in the war. And we were wondering, we were preparing for a backlash of parents who would be angry, who would go to Vijay Chowk and demonstrate and say, हमारे बच्चों को लेके नहीं आए, आप लोग ये काम कर रहे हो, you're doing this, you're enjoying life, you're attending political meetings and stuff like that, and our children are stuck. So we were preparing for this. We were preparing for anger, because born out of anxiety. But we saw for ourselves how what Mr. Jaishankar was talking today about building relationships and building trust, something that you've written in your book, they built that trust over the years with the parents to say that we are working, and people believed them that yes, the people who are in charge are working to bring our children. What do we love after all? We love our children the most, right? And they had that trust. So even though he may not have read your book, I don't know whether the Prime Minister has read your book or not, or whether the Cabinet has read your book or not, but I can tell you that some of these pointers which you have in your book were put into practice during those very difficult moments that we have passed through as a country. So without, you give a mic to a journalist, she doesn't let go. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions,
Please.
of course. And thank you for giving me this opportunity.
I'm honored that you are here.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, I'm honored.
Thanks. When we talk about stress and anxiety, in your book, I've read, of course, all your books. Page 25 is where you talk about compromises and battling of egos. That's where I found that very interesting, because right now, this city is going through an election. And being a political journalist, I'm going to ask you that. Because what we are seeing is leaders who are not willing to compromise, leaders who are battling or encouraging their egos to such an extent that nobody is willing to compromise, nobody is willing to understand that your egos don't matter. It's the people whose daily lives that matter. So could you tell me about this, which you've written in your book?
Now, there are multiple questions, especially the last one that you came. Can you rephrase one more time, the last one? Especially the election part.
Right. So Delhi's going in for elections, and some of the people who are fighting the elections are people with huge egos. And even if they're not fighting the election, the people behind them have huge egos, not willing to compromise. Politicians, especially, I think, because all day long they hear from sycophants about how great they are, what a boon they are to humanity, what a boon they are to the country. Some of them are probably, but they come with a great deal of self-importance. How does a person keep oneself grounded despite having this reinforcement or enforcement of the great that is given to them?
Smita, let me explain a little bit. When Dr. Jaishankar was introduced, they said, Honorable Minister. Now, I have addressed many, many gatherings, and many times I do not address with politicians, and to him I do not consider as a politician to begin with. And Mr. Vivek Tankar knows for the last 30 years, I think we've addressed so many gatherings, we've not had politician, and if we have, I have not used the word honorable. And they're generally chief guest. I said, Mr. Chief Guest of today, Mr. So-and-so of today. I do not, my conscience does not permit me to use the word honorable. You say honorable, you know you are a liar, the world knows he is crooked. What honorable are you talking? You start your program with dishonesty and corruption, stop. So I don't use that. Now you talked about all this election stunt that is going on. It is nothing else but grabbing greed for power, nothing else. That's why they are outdoing each other. This guy gives $1,000, I'll give 1,500. They give 1,500, you give 2,000. You 2,000, I give 3,000. You know something? They are auctioning the country. They are not leaders. They are traitors. I repeat, I am on their record here. They are actually creating treachery with the nation. And I'll share with you examples. And let me do that specifically how the nation is being betrayed today. And how they talk of katoge, batoge, katoge, batoge, katoge, batoge, and all that kind of rubbish. You something, who's doing it? They're doing it. They have done it. I'll explain to you. In 1999, the election was due in Rajasthan. And Mr. Atul Bajpayee ji, he was the Prime Minister. He went to Rajasthan and he declared all Jat as OBC backward. Tell me, how did Jat become backward? How did they? Now, he won the election, but the country lost. Are you with me? He won the election, but the country lost. And today in Delhi, what's happening? They're talking of reservation for Jats in Delhi. What about Haryana? What about UP? Everywhere he created a problem. Some things like this are not reversible in history. We are destroying us by slice, by slice, by slice, by slice. And I'm on public record and including on your channel right across. I am saying that. And people do such things, treachery with the nation, and many of them, 7 Bharat Ratnas were given before the election. 7 Bharat Ratnas. What happened? Overnight? They became heroes? Oh, no, 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 no. Heroes are people like General Ajay Singh, the man who fought so many battles and protected the country. It is not the guy in the Bollywood. He's not a hero. He's an actor. That's not a hero. He's an actor. These are real heroes who have protected the nation. So they are not. And I think many politicians probably are great actors. They'll beat any Bollywood guy. They're great actors. So my point I'm trying to make is, it's very, very clear. They are only buying whatever they have to buy, only to retain power for another 5 years, and during 5 years, rip the country apart, strip it, loot it, and that's what is going on. What happened to Venezuela? Do you know the highest oil reserve in the world is not in Saudi Arabia? It is Venezuela. And today, that country is hurting so badly. There is 10,000% inflation, 10,000%, 20,000% inflation. They've ruined the country. You know what? This is what is going on here. And that is sad. But all I can say to you is one thing. When people get messages like this, I get videos, and there are some of them which are talking of these things, which are hurting the nation. There are some people, you know what they say? Oh, it is negative. I start my day with a negative. He sends me a video which is negative. I said, ask, is it not factual? If it is concocted, then you have reason to do it. Block this guy. But if it is not, why are you depressed? I feel depressed. There's something wrong with you. You're a coward. You don't want to do a damn thing. But there are people who see the same video and say, oh, I got to fight. I got to fight. If that video factually isn't correct, you have every right to be depressed. But if it is not, then damn it, don't you owe something for the nation? If that is correct, then why are you keeping quiet? So we have to look at the whole thing in that manner, from that light. There is no other answer. And I'm not sure if I've written in the book, if you want to live in peace, learn to fight. You have to fight. Fight is nature's law. Go check out a farmer when he plants good seeds. There's a whole army of insects and weeds ready to destroy his hard work. Now he has a choice. Either get destroyed or destroy them. Both cannot live together. So he has to fight. He has to fight. This is nature's law. Not only there, in our bodies right now, Smita, we have white cells, we have red cells. What is the function of the white cell? To fight infection. That means right now in our body there's a fight. We are releasing millions of cancerous cells per day, millions of immunity cells per day. Whichever is stronger, they fight, and that's what prevails. So if you want to live in peace, not fighting is not a choice. I repeat, not fighting is not a choice. We have to fight. We've got to fight to win. There is no other answer.
Thank you. Very correct. Even those of us who think that we are kind of passive, they are fighters too. Some of us look aggressive, but everybody has to fight for survival. And I think, like Dr. Jaishankar said, that it's all born out of a sense of anxiety that if we don't fight for what is right, then we lose. We lose in getting what ought to be ours or what we seek. So I guess there is some kind of an anxiety. So if you pick up the book, you'll see about the stress, and that comes right in the beginning of the book. It comes in page 16. And then Mr. Khera talks about how to deal with it. It's something that none of us can escape, especially these days. Is that what you get asked the most wherever you go, in your talks, by your publishers? इसके बारे में लिखिए आप, इसके बारे में बताइए आप, because you deal with mid-level executives, you deal with CEOs. Is stress and anxiety, these two things, is it something that is increasing despite us having access to so much more information about how to deal with it?
Let me share. Give or take about 45 years ago, I attended a program by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the man who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking. As he came in, looked at 1,000 people, said, you people appear so cool, calm, comfortable, you don't have a problem. Does anybody have a problem? Now, who doesn't have a problem? So everybody raised their hand. Then he asked, how many people would like to get rid of their problems? And again, everybody raised their hand. Then Dr. Peale said, while I was coming here, I came across a place where I saw some people lying down, all stretched out, comfortable. They had no problem whatsoever. How many people would like to know where that place is? Everybody raised their hand. And the Dr. Peale said, 2 blocks away from here, there is a cemetery. There are people lying down, all stretched out, comfortable, totally relaxed. They have no problem whatsoever. Then he asked, how many people would like to get rid of their problem? Nobody raised their hand. Everybody put in their hand in their pocket. Then Dr. Peale said, remember, problem is a sign of life. So long as we are alive, we shall have problems. The day we don't have problems, we'd be dead. And when you're running short of problems, watch out, he's calling you. That's the time to get on your knees and pray to God and say, have you stopped trusting me anymore? Send me some problems. But remember that day, he gave a prayer, which in my opinion, Smita, is the crux of life. And I have never left my home without this prayer. It goes this way. Serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference what I can and what I cannot. If you analyze and dissect this little prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Answer is, can I change everything in this world to suit myself? Answer is no. Can I mold and manipulate everything to suit myself? Answer is no. There are many things beyond us, such as, I didn't choose my parents, neither did you. I didn't decide where I was going to be born, neither did you. If this is my height or the color of my skin, there's nothing I can do about it. And granted, some people are born deformed. And sometimes bad things do happen to good people for no fault of their own. What wrong did they do? Who knows? Folks, it says, what I cannot change, let me accept it graciously, not grudgingly. Because many times in life, we keep fighting the things we just cannot change. And we bring stress into our lives. See, this is stress. We bring stress into our lives, what we cannot change. We become paralyzed and we become unproductive. So if I can't change, let me accept it graciously, not grudgingly. 2, if I can change, then give me the courage to do it. And 3, wisdom to know the difference what I can and what I cannot. Now, when I wrote my book, and in fact I've added that in this book also, I took this thought 2 steps forward and I said, life is full of choices and life is full of compromises. Seems like a contradiction, but not really. See, folks, how is life full of choices? If I ill-treat you, I have chosen to be ill-treated, haven't I? If I treat you with discourtesy, I've chosen to be treated with discourtesy, haven't I? If I light up a cigarette, I've chosen to invite cancer, haven't I? If I exercise every day, I've chosen to invite good health, haven't I? And if I drink and drive, I've chosen to invite an accident, haven't I? And if I tell lies, I've chosen, Garima, stay there later. If I tell lies, I've chosen to lose my credibility, haven't I? See, life is full of choices. Now, this next sentence is crucial. We are all free to the point of choice. But after we make our choices, the choice controls the chooser. We have no more choice. Our freedom is over. And how is life full of compromises? It is well said, in life, we cannot choose the cards that are dealt to us. What we can choose how we play the game. And sometimes nature gives us a lemon, the choice is ours. Do we cry or do we make lemonade? Now, one last thing, especially the press people ask, Mr. Khera, tell me, people who are successful, don't they make mistakes? And people who fail, don't they do positive things in life? Folks, people who are successful, they do make mistakes. But I've learned one thing, making a mistake once in a while does not bring failure. Repeating the same mistake again and again is what brings failure.
Nice.
And doing something positive once in a while does not bring success either. Repeating the same positive behavior again and again is what brings success. And that is the key.
Thank you. You also mentioned about when you were talking about Jaishankar, Dr. Jaishankar, you said he has a cool head and even though he's on the hot seat. That is managing the anxiety, managing the stresses of daily life. We have with us Dr. Kiran Bedi. I think as a student, she was an inspiration for many girls like me.
Tremendous.
Right? That so much of stress, and she managed that all through her career, the pulls and pressures of being a civil servant, and then continued to rise even after retirement and continues to do what she does, empowering people, empowering and bringing in a sense of confidence in girls especially. You have one part in your book which I found very interesting, which even Dr. Jaishankar mentioned, even though he said he hadn't read your book, is about, you know, wanting to please people all the time. Many people are like that, people pleasers, and especially girl children are taught to be like that. Smile, keep smiling. Women are told, and don't complain, keep smiling. Something that you talked about, don't do things on your own, ask for help. Women are told, you can do everything. Aap Durga hai, you can multitask, you can do everything. But as a working woman, I realized that unless I ask for help, I'm not going to be able to raise my children and have a career. So as Hillary Clinton writes in her book, It Takes a Village to be a working woman, it was like that. Mother-in-law, Masi, children, cousins, aunts, anybody, just help me. You know, I had absolutely zero ego in asking for help. And Dr. Kiran Bedi is another person that I reached out to when I was starting something new in my 50s. And I said, I'm really nervous. And she said, no, just go ahead. It's going to work. You have the grit, you have the determination. So you need those mentors in your life who will tell you that the toxicity around you doesn't need to pull you down. In page 36, readers, I'm hoping all of you read, that's why you're here. In page 36, Mr. Khera talks about no toxicity. He says, stay away from toxicity, choose your friends carefully. Be a pleasant person, but that doesn't mean that if somebody is toxic towards you, you keep smiling and be nice. Subah agar toxic message WhatsApp aata hai, so you might as well block it if it's going to ruin your day. But you can use toxicity as a potent force for positivity too. Could you tell me how I can do that? If I get a negative toxic WhatsApp, or I see something on Instagram or something on Facebook or something on Twitter which is negative, toxic, how do I channelize that to positive action?
So there are two things involved here. One, we need to evaluate ourselves. Are we toxic? Number one, we need to see, because we keep in mind.
Sorry,
okay.
This is Dr. Jaishankar's class.
Okay. Could we get some glass, please, in a fresh glass? Bida, can you arrange that? Just arrange a fresh glass. Yeah. See, we need to figure out, are we toxic, number one? And second thing you notice one is that many times other people's behavior is reactionary to our behavior towards them. Now, I can't change you. We try to change but by changing my behavior towards the other person, I can influence their behavior towards me. Now, that is one side of the picture, provided I evaluate, provided I am at peace with myself, provided I'm at peace. Now, since you read this book carefully, and it talks of, it all boils down to self-esteem. What is self-esteem? Self-esteem is the way we feel about ourselves. You notice one day, when we wake up in the morning feeling good, the world looks nice, productivity goes up, and relationships are a lot better, aren't they? And the reverse is just true. And self-esteem is inversely related to egos. Have you seen people with egos like a know-it-all? What do? They talk down to people otherwise, don't they? They look down upon others, don't they? And every decision they make is more to satisfy ego than make sense. Think about it. Why does a human being put down another human being? It is sadistic but true. there are some people, Kiran, hear me out. There are some people who feel good when the other person feels bad. They feel superior when the other person feels inferior, which means they don't want to lift themselves up, but they want to pull others down. This is one ego. There's a second kind of ego, is a fragile ego. Everything becomes a prestige issue. Everything becomes a prestige issue. Every stylish thing, and they take it personally. You attacking me personally? You talk of team spirit. How do you have team spirit with both these egos? You cannot. I've given an example. One person was unwell and his wife was being considerate. She did not wake him up. She thought, let him rest. So at 12 o'clock, she woke him up. And he said immediately, you let me sleep so long, I'm sitting hungry, nobody cares about me, you let me sleep. Nobody gave me any breakfast. Now, he woke up mad. And next day, he was again sleeping, and this time the wife woke him up. And again he said, nobody lets me sleep. Now what do you do with people like that? There are people, no matter what you do, it doesn't make any sense. Now, we don't have to be toxic, but we can't live with toxic people either. Unless you're married to one, then it's a tough one. But you see, this is another major issue. And I just want to put this one point to rest, Smita. People with low self-esteem have major challenges everywhere, no matter where they go. Example, I have shared with you a story about a couple going to Mauritius. You read that? They went in, 5-star hotel, they got 7-star service, but as they kept the luggage, the man saw that they didn't have a sea-facing room. So immediately he got mad, created a ruckus right there, and they called the receptionist, I want a sea-facing room. They said, sir, when you made the booking, you never mentioned that you had a preference to sea-facing. But he said, the hotel is sold out, we have nothing. Call your manager. So manager came in. He shouted to the manager. Manager said the same thing, ma'am. There was reservation was made without instructions, but there's nothing, the hotel is sold out, with nothing we can do about it. And then his wife interjected and said, honey, what's the big deal? We don't have a seafair room. Our objective was to be together. That's no big deal. And the man, you know what he says? You are also siding with the hotel now. You see, instead of us understanding what I'm saying, you are siding with the hotel. And they fought with each other. For 5 days, they didn't talk to each other. They didn't have dinner and lunches with each other. They didn't go sightseeing anywhere. You know something? What was to be a memorable holiday became a nightmare. Now, it might sound like an exaggeration, but there are people like that in this world. Now, in most people talk in terms of overcoming stress. You know, they say, Kapal Bharti, keep doing Kapal Bharti, all this. And then keep doing meditation, keep doing yoga. Now, you see, you tell me one thing, with this kind of attitude, hey, you can do all you want, but nothing will work. Nothing works. And they say, change your environment. Go to the mountain, go to the beach. People like that carry the problem with it to the beach. Hello? They carry the problem to the beach. That's what life is all about. So we need to understand what we are doing. It is an attitude. You can do all Kapal Bharti in this Bharti, that Bharti won't work.
What? You're going to get me cancelled. But I'm going to talk about, I don't know how much time we have, but I have to talk about...
Oh, how much time we have?
This is not my podcast where we can talk for 2 hours. But about distractions. You know, I can see a preteen sitting out here. I can see grandparents also sitting, or I'm presuming they're grandparents, also sitting. This thing about scrolling and this tendency to whip out your cell phone and getting distracted. I've seen people who have paid for coming for lectures, or their company has paid to send them to lectures, and they've paid handsomely. Your lectures too, some of them. And what annoys me is when you're sitting in the audience and sitting and scrolling. Dinners which cost a couple of thousand rupees when they're sitting in the restaurant, parents and their children. And the children are on their devices, the parents are on their devices. When they're going for holidays, sitting in a group, 3 of them ask for seats together, but each one is on his or her device. So actually a 3-hour flight or even a 15-hour flight is done without any kind of interaction because you are on your devices. The other thing is that how many of us today have the patience to sit through a film in a theater? None of us have. OTT has spoiled it for us. So if you're not musically inclined, Gana aaya, fast forward. If you are the kind who doesn't like violence, you see a violent scene, fast forward. Or else, if you were the kind who did this because there was a scary scene, now you don't do that. You're scrolling till that thing is over. Now it's competing, right? Attention span is competing between this and that. Our attention spans are so less that many of us are unable to even read a book. We are unable to stay through a book. So we're reading 3 books at a time. I'm not saying that's a negative thing. I come back to books at times, which I have already read. I come back to it. But these kind of tendencies to not able to concentrate and get pulled in different directions because of lack of concentration. How can we direct our minds to one task at a time if needed or 2 tasks at a time and to build relationships because they are getting frayed as a result of these devices today?
Okay, again, 2 questions in one here. Let me go one thing. You talked of devices, using family, kids, going out, and so on. I'm writing my next book on parenting.
Okay.
By the way, I made many mistakes parenting. So
haven't we all?
So keeping that in mind, I'm talking of how not to make the same mistakes, and that's really, because there is no such thing known as perfect parents. There is none in this world. But bottom line really comes down to, I researched a little bit, and you look at life histories of Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and others, they have not given their kids the laptops and mobiles till the age of 14. They have not given to them. And the Aditya Birla Group is a client of mine. I did a program, and I found out that Rajshri Birla, in the evening at 8 o'clock, her son, Kumar Mangalam, and all his kids and grandkids, everybody, 8 o'clock, they submit the mobile to their grandmother. And to the grandmother, and from 8 to 9:30, mobile is off. Nobody gets the mobile. That is the time they talk to each other, they bond with each other, and so on and so forth. And they go through right. Today, the mobile has become a babysitter. And same thing, one of a close friend of mine, he has 2 boys, one age 18, the other 20. And mobile, he said, while at dinner time is not acceptable. But the 18-year-old pulled out the mobile and was going through the mobile. Now, think about it. They all know it. They know they're not supposed to do it. Father said them. Kids agreed, yet he's doing it. Is that a mistake, or is he challenging his parents? He's challenging his parents. So the father got up and he said, well, that's the way we've all agreed, but why are you doing it? He said, well, I'm doing it. He just got up, picked up the mobile and smashed it on the wall. He said, now take this mobile. You know something? Today's parents are scared of their kids. They are actually scared of the kids. They don't have the guts to say no to their kids. You see, we people, at least I know, I've been slapped 3-4 times by my parents up to age of 20. So if I got 3 slaps till the age of 20, that means 1 slap every 7 years. That's not child abuse. That is not child abuse. And today, in the Western world, there is something called parent abuse. Let me clarify this point here. You see, they advertise on TV and other places, if your kid slaps you, call this number, 800 number, and you're taken in. Are you aware of that, folks? Yes, no? So, it so happened that a friend of mine is a psychiatrist, And he said, I go to the slums area and other places, and when the parents are asking the kids, where are you going, what time would you be back, who are you going with, you know what the kid says? Dad, you're going to ask me too many questions, I'll just call the cops. You ask me too many questions, I'll just call the cops. This is called parent abuse. This is rubbish. And a real case happened in New Jersey, around that area. See, there's a medical doctor. Evening he came in about 9 o'clock, 8:30, and he had invited 3-4 friends for dinners. And as he was fixing drinks for them in the kitchen, his son, 10-year-old boy, was upstairs watching TV. TV was loud. So the father said, son, get the TV volume down. He didn't bother. He gave a smart aleck answer. Today, kids give a smart aleck answer to the teacher and the parents, and people laugh at it. That's a television program going on. But anyway, he gave a smart aleck answer. Didn't do anything. Twice again he said the same thing, nothing happened. Then the kid came down to grab a Coke or something for himself. And the father gave him a slap. Dad gave a slap. The kid went back and he just called the 800 number. And all his friends were there. Within a matter of less than, their police is different, it was 60 seconds. Their police is different. Yeah, the cops were there. He rang the bell, and the man asked, did you slap your kid? He said, yes, sir, I did. But he said, wait a minute. He said, no, you did. Now explain that tomorrow to the judge. But right now you have to come along with me. So the man went, spent the night at the police station. Next day morning, of course, he got his bail and came out. And now they were there. Imagine a father walking into a house where this 10-year-old kid got him into jail last night. He could not have eye contact with his son. 4 months they stayed here. How do you live in a home under the same shelter and the same roof? Boy, it is humiliating. But anyway, 4 months later, they were coming to India. Now you already know the story. You see, they came to India, the aircraft landed, all the passports with the daddy, and as they were getting down on the bay, the father gave one tight slap to the kid. Now, I'm not justifying right or wrong. Let's not get into the judgmental part so far. And there were some cops there, and the kids ran and said, "Mere baap ne mere ko mara, khare mere baap aur marta tha. Koi baat nahi, ek aur laga do isko." I'm not justifying. My point I'm trying to make is, at least in our life, we had something called healthy fear, healthy respect. Are you with me? There is something called healthy fear and healthy respect. And that is missing today. And that healthy fear ought to be there. That ought to be there. If it dares you, then there are consequences. If it dares you, wait a minute. And that's why it is said, while the child is growing up, pick your battles carefully. And if you pick your battle, then as a parent, you better win. You better win. I think
I'm going to get cancelled for sure after this. Just to make clear, we're not advocating out here. Any of us are advocating out here any kind of parental violence.
Not at all.
So don't
Not
just
at
go
all.
back home and slap around your kid. No, we don't expect that to happen. You want me to end? One thing I certainly want you people to read is the section in which it was learn to forgive and forget. It's one of the most difficult things to do in life. To be kind, to learn to forgive and forget. That chapter is I've read that twice over because it's something that, especially when you're leaders in your organizations, it's something that all of us need to practice to have more control, not lose it, and learn that like we make mistakes and we own up our mistakes, we should learn to accept, forgive and forget, be nice, be kind, especially in these tumultuous times. I hand it back to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Smita. It's so nice of you.
Thank you, Smita, and thank you, Mr. Khera, for that enriching conversation. A huge round of applause for both of them.
Thank you very much.
May I now request Ms. Bhavna Vidara to present a token of appreciation to Ms. Smita Prakash.
Oh, I will. Come, come, come. You did a great job. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Grateful to you. And folks, I want to thank my own team. Where is Garima? Oh, we're not done as yet.
I love the dad, please.
See,
That's parenting.
No, parents are scared of their kids.
I don't know the number of times I would have done that to my dad. Dad, please.
Okay.
We have one last thing to do as well before we wrap up this evening, which is the big announcement. This is the announcement of the winner of the scholarship of Mr. Khera's We did this exercise and we have some cards and some names here. And to pick the winner, I would like to invite Mr. Mr. Pankaj Singh, apologies. I would like to invite Mr. Pankaj Singh on the stage.
Thank you. In fact, he has attended my 4-day leadership program, and so has General Ajay Singh also, and a few other people. So that's kind of nice. Sir, thank you, sir. And his children have attended the program. Where is Mr. D.S. Mishra? Oh, okay. Oh, Mr. D.S. Mishra. And sir, we'll make another scholarship. Please open up. You kindly come up here, because you have also attended our program right here. So we make that
It's an exciting day. We have 2 winners instead of 1.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Well, the names are here. Deepak Dwivedi, Blitz, I think they left here too, and Aditya Veer. Aditya. Okay.
Congratulations, Aditya and Deepak.
Okay. Not here.
Aditya Veer is here.
Aditya is here?
He's not here.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to
We
pull
will
out
get
a
in. We
fresh
will
one,
get in
or
touch.
leave it alone?
We can get in touch with them.
Pull out another one. So we hold this. And
Destroy that.
oh, so these are out then. These are out. Okay. And I'd like to have General Singh to Ajay Singh come up, because he's also my student. Come here, sir.
I think it should destroy.
Then if he, so up.
Mrs. Khera was saying that you don't pick another one.
Go ahead. Pull out. Thank you, sir. Sunil Gupta. Oh, okay. Oh, there you are. So keep in mind, Garima. Look at that. Okay.
That is some commitment.
He's come from Karnal all the way, just only for this 2 hours. Oh, and we have Rana Randhir Singh ji. He's a minister from Bihar. Come all the way. Give him a big hand, please. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Absolutely. Okay. We could, you can stay there if you like. But you can stay there if you like. We'll,
I will come. If I can come from 150 kilometers away, why can't I?
my God, I'm so grateful to you.
He is already motivated.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I am a businessman. I export rice to Gulf.
Oh, rice exporter.
Congratulations, who picked up your card?
Thank you.
First of all, I should thank to you.
Thank you, sir. Meenakshi. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming here.
हाँ,
Mr.
मेरे
Shiv
आगे।
Khera's team will get in touch with you with details. They have your details. They will get in touch with you.
Thank you, sir.
I congratulate you on this occasion.
Thank you, sir.
And you should congratulate me on winning this.
I'm grateful, sir. I'm grateful. We'll do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this incredible evening, I extend
Can I
my
invite you for
heartfelt
dinner tonight?
gratitude to our distinguished guests, our chief guest, Dr. Jaishankar, who had to leave a little earlier, Ms. Smrita Prakash, for gracing this event with their presence. Thank you, Mr. Shiv Khera, for giving us yet another life-changing book. We are certain that Live While You're Alive will inspire readers to lead a more meaningful life. I request everyone to keep sitting, please. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, our esteemed audience, for making this evening a memorable one. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. The copies of the book are available outside the auditorium for sale, and Mr. Khera is available here on the stage to sign it. I request everyone who would like Mr. Khera to sign their copies to please come on stage one by one in a single queue. I will.
What is? The person who has won is Mr. Sunil Gupta. He is the winner. He has his card right there. But we've just announced that they both will be given the full scholarship, both of them. Sir, मैंने बोल दिया आपको